Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, professional hockey player Luke McCarthy. Luke is currently playing for the Muskegon Voyagers in the Michigan Independence Hockey League, but he's also spent time in the Federal Hockey League with the Danville Dashers and the Danbury Titans before going to the MIHL. But before he played pro hockey, he played in the ACHA with Davenport University. And then for juniors, he spent time in the NA3HL and the NOJHL. So I'm super excited to get you on, Luke. So welcome to the show, Luke McCarthy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I was happy to get the invite. So
Yeah, of course. I'm super pumped to have you on. Like it's gonna be a good show. But how have you been?
good. Busy is a nice way of putting it. Um, Gosh, just with the off season, right? I work at the fire station here in Grand Rapids, so I've been busy doing that. We own a landscaping company, been busy doing that, and I have two kids. I have two daughters. Spending time with them, my wife and I, we love to go camping and travel. So I mean, it has been. I haven't sat down. This is probably the first time I've sat down in probably a month. So
At least you're getting out and enjoying time with the family and everything, and just like that's what it's all about, especially in the off season when you have time, is spending it with the fam.
it is nice. Yeah, because everyone knows, right? Come hockey season, it's just kind of
Yeah.
it's a blast. It's fun, and we do it because we love to play. But yeah, it is. It's nice to have the off months, spend time with the family. So
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, you spend time a lot. You're a big camper. You guys go camping a lot. So like what's been like your favorite camping spot you've hit this summer?
honestly, right away, I wouldn't even consider it summer yet. It was in April. We went to Galveston, Texas, and I actually did I did a half Ironman there, and we took down our truck and our camper and our two girls and my dog, and we all drove to Texas, and it was a hike, but that was honestly the best because it was still a little chilly here, so to get that nice weather in Texas was kind of nice. But yeah, we were there for 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, it was a blast, man. I honestly can't wait to go back. So,
How long was the trip to Texas?
oh my gosh. Well, some of us travel a little better than others, but I give credit to my wife and my two kids. They were troopers. It's not a short trip. I think probably 20 hours total. We had to go a
It's
little
not
slower.
terrible.
No, it wasn't. It just had to go a little slower because of the camper, and then it's hard to drive all night with two girls under three. So, but no, it was fun, man. It was well worth the travels.
Yeah, absolutely. And like warm weather in Texas throughout that time when it's cooler in Michigan and over here, like you'll take the warm weather any day.
Yeah, honestly, it was hard. The hardest part, I think, was like training for the Ironman, just because, well, everyone down there that's competing, right? They're in this 90-degree weather all year,
Yeah.
or for the most part, right? And it was when we were down there, it was like 92 and humid. And the last time I ran outside in Michigan, I think it was like 60 degrees. So it felt great. And then we get down there, oh my gosh, I was a mess. It was, but again, it was well worth it. It was a great experience.
Yeah, hey, that's all that matters, just the experience and just seeing different parts and competing in different parts of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, it was fun. I didn't know if I was going to do any more. And then actually after that on the way home I signed up for two more. So yeah, it was pretty life changing, honestly. It was quite the experience. So my family enjoyed it too. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And just you got two more to train for, so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I know, yeah, we picked one in September, so it's actually coming up, but it's in Frankfort, Michigan, so north a little bit. And the weather is supposed to be like 70 and sunny, so I am that one will be a little more enjoyable, I think.
Yeah, you'll be able to not suffer from the heat over there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, but throughout the offseason, like we you put together the Cascade Firefighters Association charity hockey game, which I was fortunate enough that you invited me to compete in. So like talk about like that and just like the charity game in Michigan and all that.
Yeah, so the fire department I work at, it's in Cascade, so it's just outside of Grand Rapids. And I never realized how difficult it was to put together an event. And I was just like, oh, like I'll just grab a couple buddies I used to play with, and then they'll grab a couple guys and we'll grab a ref, and it'll just be super easy, laid back. People donate, we'll make a couple $100, and everybody will be happy, and we'll go from there. Well, then it turned out we were on, I think, like 6 news channels. I had radio interviews like 2 weeks leading up to the game. We ended up, the first year, I want to say we raised close to $15,000. And then the second year, I think we raised 17. And then I don't think they have the numbers yet for this year, with it just being a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think that is one of my favorite events, I think, to skate in. We have players from the AHL, current guys that play in Grand Rapids. They have a couple buddies. Last year we had Chris Summers play. He played for the Rangers and the Coyotes. Mitchell Chafee plays for the Wild. He played. It sounds like Glendenning is going to play next year. I mean, it is just crazy. I had guys texting me asking if they could play. I mean, it is, yeah, it was quite the experience, and it all goes to a good cause. We have 2 beneficiaries here, that we, donate to. And yeah, it was awesome. It was a great turnout. So yeah, thank you for playing. I was super happy you could make it out. But yeah, we're looking forward to it every year now. So
Yeah, I can't wait to go back next year and compete. And it's just good to like the charity event, and then just to play against like current and former pro guys from the AHL all the way to the mill college. Like just makes a fun event, and everyone's just buzzing out there and everyone loves it.
yeah, it's crazy, right? Because you're like, all right, yeah, I got some confidence. I feel pretty good. I'm playing well right now. And then all of a sudden, some guy who has a full ride to Notre Dame or something, skates by you. You're like, oh, yeah, all right, well, that humbled me. So here we are. Oh my gosh. But it's so much fun. And it's amazing how, because you look at some of those guys, right, that play, the upper ranks and stuff. And you look at them and they're like, all right, I don't want to waste your time. It's like, I hope you enjoy this. Oh my gosh, afterwards, all of them are like, hey, thank you so much for putting that on. Like, we can't wait till next year. If you do it again, like please call. Like, I don't know. It goes a long ways. It's nice to have those guys out. So
Yeah, and especially like up the higher levels, like when they do that, it's like wow, like it just like it's awesome to see and awesome to hear, and just because all those guys are good guys and they want to do what's best for like the community and the charity events and all that, just to come back.
yeah, like I said, just to have them text me or give me a call afterwards, just saying thanks. Like, I hope you asked me to play again. Like, that's like, they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
They don't have to stay afterwards and sign autographs, but they do. They don't even have to show up, right? And they're willing to do it. And it just, I don't know, says a lot about them. And like I said, we're always happy to have them. So
Yeah. And this year is a close game too. It came down to, I think, the last 2 minutes of the game.
yeah, it's pretty crazy too, because I know most of these guys, but a lot of them are right. They'll go play, Division 1 somewhere, and they're like, hey, I have a buddy that's also going to be in town. Can he play? Sure. Sounds great. Happy to have him. So it's like, so I'm putting these teams together, and I'm just like, man, I hope these are even. I don't know. I try to even them out the best I can, but I think the first year it was a 1-goal game, and then last year, last year it went into overtime, and then this year it ended up, what'd you say, last 2 minutes? I think you're
Yeah.
right. It scored at the
Yeah,
end.
I think I gave up a goal with 2 minutes left in the game.
Well, if I was out there, I can't imagine I was much help to you. So
It's still all in fun and games though, and I'd do it 100% next year if you invite me.
yeah, of course. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get into your career a little bit here. So like, what was youth hockey like for you growing up, and like what got you into the game of hockey?
Well, I didn't start playing until I was 12. And I'm almost 32, so it's actually been a while. But we didn't have a rink back home until 2002. So anytime I wanted to skate, my dad would take me to the fairgrounds, and it was outside. And they still had like the chicken wire fence on it. And I think I went 2 or 3 times, and I absolutely hated it. I thought this was the worst thing ever. I was like, I don't like it. It's cold. I was just being a big baby about it, and I didn't like it, and I didn't do it for the longest time. And then they opened up the rink, and it couldn't have been 1,000 yards from our house. I mean, it was so close up in Ludington. So I started. Yeah, I think I was a second year Pee-wee. Yeah, would have been my last year of Pee-wees. And I started, and that was back when you could hit, you could check in Pee-wees. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think it's Bantam now, but yeah, so second year Pee-wees, I played a year, and then honestly, I've moved up every year, regardless if I had a year or two to play. So I played a year Pee-wee, 1 year Bantam, and then I made the JV team for our high school when I was in 8th grade. And then I played a year of high school, and then honestly I moved away. I was 15 years old, and I moved down to Grand Rapids to play hockey here for a AAA team at where we had the charity game. And then my junior year of high school, I went back and played, and then I did like a split season. When that was done, I moved to Canada and played. That's when I played in the NOJHL for the Eagles. Yeah, and then moved back, played a couple more years of juniors, and then went to Davenport. So nothing crazy. I see some of these guys, they just have wild stories, right? And their resumes are crazy. Mine was, I don't want to say it was simple. It's very clean. I just went here, I played, I left, I found another team to play on, and that was it. Another thing about playing in Muskegon too, that's the closest my parents have ever had to drive to watch me play. It's only like 40 minutes from their house.
And they get to see you. They get to come to games and see you now every game.
Yeah, exactly right. And then I bring my kids too, so I think they probably come to see them more than me. But yeah. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons I keep playing too. I think I owe it to my parents a lot, right? They sacrificed a lot, heck, probably more than me. So it's kind of nice to see them again.
Yeah, but those like simple, like clean, like resumes, like sometimes make for the best stories as well. So like, what were some of your favorite memories growing up that you had playing the game?
Like I said, the rink was so close, right? So we were there all the time. My first job was there. I was actually sharpening skates, and I was 13, and they couldn't even pay me because I was so young. So my dad would just get paid, and I just had to work. So not quite sure how that worked out, but honestly, I think at least playing youth hockey, it was just being at the rink all the time, right? It's a different atmosphere. I think everybody kind of understands that. But I just, you wake up, you go to school. It's just, I don't know. You come home and you're at the rink, or you go to the rink, and it's just seeing your friends there, and it's just all kind of one. You're just there for one reason, right? And that's hockey. And I think it was just kind of a different world to me.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, that's probably one of my memories. At least like I miss it the most, is just being at the rink all the time. And it's different now, right? We have different priorities, and like I said, I have kids, but just being able to be at the rink, and you just have no cares, right? No really worries. Just show up, play hockey, and have fun, and go home. I just take it for granted, I think, when you're that young.
Yeah, it's just simple. Like you don't have to think about anything. You just go spend all day at the rink like I love the 5 a.m. getting up at 5 a.m. and then going to the rink and for like a 6:30 game, and then just being at the rink the rest of the day, just watching the other games. Like there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you start adding, right? Then you get a little older, you start adding road trips and stuff in. And I think hockey's taught me more about life than than a lot of things and a lot of people. You just learn so much from it. I think part of that I miss too, right? The struggles you get, the rewards. It's just, like I said, it's kind of a different world, and I think we all take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah, and like I love how you said like you learn a lot like about life and everything through that time, because it is true, because you learn you go through the adversity, you go through like all the hardships and everything, and you just got to learn from it, those times, and it brings you into like, I did this in hockey, so I can do that in my regular life when I'm not at the rink.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think, like I said, yeah, like you just said, right. I think you learn some things through hockey that you can kind of carry on, that stick with you for life. I mean, and then, like I said, you get older and you start doing the road trips and stuff. And then, heck, I have friends that I played AAA with that I still see them.
Yeah.
I was 14 years old. I still see these guys all the time, or I talk to some of them. I've played juniors with kids in different states, right? Everyone has it. It's like you still talk to these guys. I don't think there's another sport that replicates that. I really don't. Yeah, it's it's great.
Yeah, it's so much fun. The best there is.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, but you talked about like going away to Grand Rapids and going away from home at 15. It's like, what was that experience like, and just being away from home to go play hockey?
Well, when I was 15, yeah, I left, right. We moved to GR. And the Billet family I was with, they were great. But I didn't they were gone all the time for work. And I don't know if most 15-year-olds know how to cook, but I sure didn't. Not any good anyways. And that was one of the things I'll never forget it. I would, like, every time I was hungry, I'd have to call my mom, be like, hey, this is what I have, yada yada yada. What, I'm starving. What can I make here? It's stuff like that, right? It's just like,
Yeah.
that is wild that people go through that, kids go through that, right? Just to play a sport. And yeah, I think that I will never forget that. Then obviously, right, you figure it out, you start fending for yourself a little bit. But yeah, it was weird because I had quite a few friends in high school. Um, and then you leave them and it's like, all right, you make new friends, even though this is a temporary place. It's just like sometimes it's better just to kind of stay quiet and go to play hockey and do school, go to school, play hockey, and then leave, right? Because it's not a permanent place. You're not gonna stay here forever. But yeah, that was, I think, and then when I moved to Canada, that was different too. That was an odd thing. I was on the US team in the Sioux, right? So we luckily I wasn't on the Canadian side, right? Because you're only allowed to have two exports, at least at the time you were. But yeah, so that was good. And I had known a couple guys, just through hockey and stuff. And hey, he knows so and so, or that's my buddy. So that was okay. I think when I went to Davenport though was when I really was kind of like, yeah, like, I think I want to do this for a while. I think, or at least give it a shot. But yeah, just some of those things, man, you'll never you'll never forget them.
Yeah, you'll never forget those lessons learned, those times that you're alone and you just gotta fend for yourself, like you said, and those you really do learn a lot from those situations to help you be better in the years coming and just your life overall.
Yeah, like we said earlier, there's some things that you learn, right, or that you take away from hockey that the game has taught you, or just the experience of hockey has taught you,
Yeah.
that I mean, you'll have those things forever. Yeah, like I said, there's no other sport that does this. There's no other sport that teaches life like hockey does.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the following year, like you said, you go to the NOJHL with the Sioux Eagles, and then you play 4 games there, and then you go to Battle Creek Junior Revolution, then A3, and then you go to Quad City Junior Flames as well that year. So, like, what was your first year of junior hockey like for you?
Yeah, that was a crazy year. There was so many ups and downs. At first, I was like, all right, I don't, I'm assuming every player goes through this, but just you kind of go through a point where you're like, all right, I don't want to play anymore. I'm all done. It's just not worth the stress. But then, you're just about done, and then it's like the phone rings, or hey, I got a buddy here, they're looking for guys. It's like, okay, I guess sounds good. So left left the Sioux, went to Battle Creek, played there, and it was a new team, and we had some struggles, but they were building, so it was kind of nice to be a part of that. But then Quad City was trying to make a playoff push, so they added me. I ended up getting traded there, And then I think they added a couple other guys too, kind of right at the deadline. And yeah, we kind of made a playoff push, but Iowa, I think that was probably one of the funnest places I've played. My billet family there, that is honestly a second family to me. I talk to them all the time. We just went to their son's wedding and their daughter's grad party last year. So I mean, we see and talk to them frequently. But the hockey was great. That was one of the best coaches I've ever had. Yeah, I honestly can't say enough nice things about Quad City. I missed that place a lot.
Yeah, so like what do you learn from like situations like that when it's like you're going through like that hardship where you're like, oh, like I'm traveling so much and like the stress and everything, and then you just fall back in love with the game. Like what do you learn from situations like that?
Well, I think at least for me, I think you learn a lot about I don't want to say necessarily who your friends are, but who's in your corner, right? I think you learn about who has your back and who supports you and stuff. And obviously my my parents, they've sacrificed so much, and I honestly can't say thank you enough to that. But I think, and then you learn a lot about yourself too. Everything works out, and I think we tend to hit the panic button rather quickly. One thing doesn't work out the way you thought it would, or one thing doesn't work out the way you thought it should. And it's just, I think, again, we're quick to hit the panic button. So when I left, I mean, that honestly did make me fall back in love with the game again when I went to Quad City. On a good team, the guys were awesome. The billet family was amazing. The town was great. I don't know, just everything happens for a reason, right? And I think that was one of those
Yeah.
things that just kind of kept it rolling for me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. You're able to find that love for the game and like just that the mindset of just everything happens for a reason. And then you end up back in Quad City the following year where you also captain that team. So like what was it like taking on that leadership role with Quad City Junior Flames?
Um, Honestly, my honest opinion, it was awful. The captains that left were some of the best guys and some of the best players I've ever, honestly, still I've ever played with. At the time, yeah, those were big shoes to fill, and I know it was just juniors, but gosh, you got some guys are looking up to you, and you got people asking you to do stuff, and coaches asking you to do stuff, and you got the other billet parents like, hey, what's going on here? It's just like, holy cow, it's a lot. Yeah, just like I said, it was big shoes to fill, but it was also obviously they saw something in me, and they wanted me to do that for a reason. So just kind of sign up and don't ask questions and just do what you're told and do anything you can to help. So
Yeah, and like that seemed to like help. Does that seem to help you like when as you got into like your college career and then your pro career, just how to handle yourself and then how to lead with especially with Muskegon.
yeah, I think it definitely did. Well, then my freshman year at Davenport, we actually went around the room. We're having a little adversity kind of midway through the year. Just a lot of guys not really buying in or not really listening to each other. And we went around the room, and out of the 20 some on 25 guys we had rostered, I think 21 of us were all captains of our juniors team. So it's like kind of hard to get 20 captains to start listening to one guy
Yeah.
now at some point, right? So and then once we kind of figured that out, we were like, yeah, that's an issue. But then after that, it was fine. But yeah, I think being the captain my last year of juniors, I think what kind of makes you grow up real quick. Not necessarily because you want to, but you don't have time to, honestly, you don't have time to be mad or to feel sorry for yourself about anything. If you're struggling or something, honestly, you have other people that depend on you. You don't really have time to, you don't really have time to whine or make excuses for anything. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, that did help a lot. And then especially at Davenport too, like I said, it's a big difference, right? You go from being 21 and everyone you play against is younger than you. And now you go play at Davenport or go play at college, and now you're the youngest guy again, right? And you got 25-year-olds telling you what to do, 24-year-olds. So it's just a little different. But yeah, I think everyone kind of just adapted and went from there.
Yeah, definitely a learning curve, but at the end of the day, you're gonna figure it out at some point of the season.
Yeah, it's still, yeah, at the end of the day, right? It's still hockey, but
Yeah.
just, and then again, adding school to it too. That was a big, cause I didn't really know if I wanted to go to college. I just kind of want to start working and join the fire department and kind of go from there. But I'm glad I did. I met a lot of friends, and heck, I've, been in several weddings, and we all have kids now, and our kids see each other. So, yeah, it was good. Glad I went.
Yeah, it's like what made you decide to go to Davenport University?
Well, to be honest with you, my parents, for the first time ever, I think they kind of put their foot down and they're like, "Yep, you're gonna go," because I didn't really know what I wanted to do for work. I know I wanted to join the fire department, but um, I guess I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So, and I had a really good friend that would have been a sophomore there, my freshman year. He's like my best friend, so he obviously talked me into it a little bit, but um, I mean, after being there for 2 weeks, I was glad I did. I'm glad I went. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you go into Davenport University where you play there for 4 years. Like, what was that transition going from junior hockey to college hockey?
Um, well, you kind of take all your junior guys, right? And you put, I don't want to say the best, but you put kind of the upper caliber guys, right, on the same team. Well,
Yeah,
then all the teams you play against, right? Same thing. They have all up, kind of higher end caliber junior players. And I don't know, I mean, it just makes the games faster. And a little different too, right? There's so much more outside of hockey, playing at college. I mean, you got school, I worked the whole time. You have a lot of outside stuff going in. I actually enjoyed it more, I think, just it was almost just kind of a getaway for everybody.
yeah,
It's like, hey, we finally get to play hockey, kind of like, no offense, it's kind of why we why we came there. So but yeah, it was fun.
yeah. So then you learned from that transition really quick, and then you go on to like gain that confidence your sophomore year, your junior year, and then your senior year. So like, what was the remaining 3 years of your college career like?
My sophomore year, we struggled a lot. We had a very split team. That was our probably my worst year there, just like team wise. But then junior and senior year, we took a lot of strides. I actually got hurt. Yeah, I think my sophomore year, I tore, I tore everything in my knee except for my ACL. So I missed, a lot. I missed a lot of the season, and then my junior year, we were starting to get better, and we actually brought in a couple guys at the beginning of the year, and then a couple guys at break too, and we were getting ready to make a push at nationals, and like it was just awful. I think like four of us got hurt right at the end of the year, and we couldn't play, so that stunk. But then my senior year, that was one of the best teams I've ever been on. Yeah, it was a blast. I think we lost, I think, like 4 games all year, like 30 something and four. But we just kind of just, you want to win the last game of the year, not really all the, you don't really, it was tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the transition, just being like the captain in juniors and then moving up through there, just it all kind of ties in together.
Yeah, and like you just figure it out, and like once you figure everything out, like it goes smoothly, and compared to just being able to like not be as smooth and just we're having another thing to worry about.
Yeah, it does. It kind of becomes less of a hassle too. You kind of just
Yeah,
start, especially when everyone kind of buys in, right? And you're having fun, you're winning games, and it makes it very enjoyable to be around.
yeah, absolutely. But then after your 4 years at Davenport University, you go into the Federal Hockey League with the Danville Dashers, where you played 35 games. Like, what was it like signing your first pro deal?
I actually went with a goaltender from Davenport too, so it was nice to have him there. But it was cool, right? I feel like that was kind of the goal the whole time. It was kind of in the back of my head. I just wanted to play some form of pro hockey. And that's where it ended up being, and that was just fine. Same thing. I love Danville. It was an awesome place. The whole town shuts down for the games. It was an awesome place to be at the time. I couldn't tell you what it's like now, but um, yeah, at the time it was great. Big eye opener too. Um, we ended up signing another kid that we went to Davenport with at kind of, I don't know, a few games into the year. And then the leading scorer, when I played at Davenport, the leading scorer in the league played for Ohio. And we signed him too. So it was me, that kid from Ohio, and then our buddy from Davenport, and us three on a line. We were very, not trying to, like, sound cocky or anything, but we were very good, and we did not play. That's how bad we were, compared to the other two lines, and just compared to everyone, right? I mean, it was a big eye opener for us. And those two went on and played, and they had successful careers. They finished the years there, and then I think they both went on and played a few more, and up and down in the SP and stuff. So that was great to see that. But yeah, what an eye opener that was. It was a blast, and I would do it again. But yeah, that was a big it was a big eye opener for me.
Is that like the most important thing you learned your first year, is just that you never know what to expect. You never know like how good you are until you actually get to that next level and then see that.
Yeah, and I know that this is said all the time, but like there is always someone better. There's
Yeah.
always someone working harder. I mean, it is crazy. Like I like to think I get in the gym, right? And I work out hard, and I pay attention to what I'm doing, and I'm focused, and then I get there, and I mean, these guys are just leaving me in the dust. And I was like, yikes, just kind of like, wow, like, yep, that's why they're here. That's why our captain had 25 East Coast games played, and he's still here. I don't, it is, I mean, it was crazy. They were captains of their OHL teams, and they ended up there. I mean, yeah, it was, like I said, it was a big wow factor for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Always something to learn, and especially like there's always going to be someone better than you, but you just got to go around, do whatever you can to get better, and get that 1% better every day.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, my parents sacrificed a lot. My grandparents sacrificed a lot. They were driving me to games and practice. I think a part of the reason I still play, and the reason I did, was just, I don't know, you kind of owe them a little something too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would have felt so bad if I would have just called it quit after Davenport. And then, like that was it. Like at some point we're going to play the last game. Right. And yeah, I would have felt so bad if that was it, knowing that my parents still wanted to watch, or my grandparents still wanted to watch. So, but now I get to enjoy that with my wife and my kids, and, heck, the whole family. So it's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like throughout that time in the Fed, you also got traded Danbury Titans, and like Danbury is known for like their organization, like the historic organization. So like what was it like going to Danbury?
It was cool. I was only there for 2 games, one weekend. I got traded, and I was, to be honest, I was pretty bummed when I got traded. I loved it in Danville. I liked the coach. It was very stressful, but honestly, I loved it there. So I got traded, and I went there, and we played 2 games against Port Huron, in Port Huron. And we got just buried both games. I mean, I think we lost by a touchdown, in both games. It was embarrassing. I got in a fight both games. I think I had an assist maybe, or a point in both games. And honestly, I didn't care that we lost. It was such a weird feeling. I told my dad, and I was like, he goes, "You all right?" I was like, I don't care that we lost. Like mentally, I was still there. Physically, I could still play. Like emotionally, had zero investment. Like it didn't matter to me that we lost. And then I was like, something, I'm all done. Like this is it for me. Like I got my face beat in. I lost both those fights, by the way. I got my face beat in. Like and it didn't bother me. Like I don't care that we lost. I'm not upset. I knew at that point, wherever I went and played, like soon after that, they weren't going to get everything out of me, and that's not fair to anybody. So yeah, I was just like, I'm all done. I got to be all done.
Yeah, and so then after that, like you didn't play until 2020-21, where you signed with the Muskegon Voyagers and the Michigan Independence Hockey League. So like what made you come back to the game of hockey?
So our captain in Muskegon, to be honest, I hadn't talked to him in years. We played hockey for the same high school. And I haven't talked to him in years. I didn't even know he was living in Muskegon. And he's put on I think it was like a Snapchat story, just a picture of his bag. I was like, "Hey, what is that?" I said, "Do you guys need another player?" Completely joking. And he goes, "Yeah, we have practice tonight." And I was like, something, I haven't skated in months. Like I would actually love to go do that for a
Yeah.
second. So So I went and skated, and we practiced, and then they played that weekend, and I don't know if I've missed a game since.
Yeah, that's an awesome story to come back to. And like, what makes you stay in Muskegon? Because you stayed ever since then for the last 3 years. Like, what is it about Muskegon Voyagers that keeps you around?
To be honest, I've tried to stop playing twice now. It is so weird. And like we said at the beginning, there is no other sport like this. And honestly, I don't know. It's just a blast. Like I love playing hockey. Like even though it's competitive at times, sometimes it's not. Like I would have the same thing if I was playing men's league. I would have the same feeling if I was playing in the Fed again, or even back at college. I love playing hockey. At points in my career, I was like, yep, I'm done. I'm over it. But hockey was so good to me, for years. And I think I don't know. I enjoy playing. I can still do it. Once I can't keep up anymore, which is, I think we're getting close. But once that time comes, I think I'll probably be done, and I'll be happy about my decision. But right now I love taking my kids to the rink. My daughter loves watching. She thinks it's so cool. I enjoy spending that time with my wife. I enjoy and seeing my parents again. Yeah, honestly, I think kind of that it just gives us something to do as a family. And again, I love those guys in Muskegon too. It's a great group. So I like play for them too.
So the Muskegon Voyagers are three-peat champions, 2021, 22, and 23 champions. So like, what has it been like to be a part of all three of those championships?
um honestly, it's pretty cool. It's pretty special. I've never been on a team, right, where we've won a championship, or I've been close. We've been close a few times. But no, this is great. And I think everyone kind of looks at this a little different, right? Some guys are playing to try to move up. Some guys are playing just because they have time. Some guys are playing because they want to help. Some guys are playing to see family. It's just we kind of get all that together, and everyone just kind of, I don't know, right, kind of buys in just like any other team. And yeah, we've been fortunate enough to do that 3 times. So it's kind of fun.
Does it get any better with each one, or is it like, or does it keep getting better with each one with the purpose of what's behind the person?
Um, it does. Honestly, it does. Each one gets better just because I think the league is better. The league is
Yeah.
growing, right? Like we can't just show up and play hockey anymore. Like we have to show up and put forth a pretty good effort. Like I said, everybody kind of buys in and everyone understands that, right? So everyone that we bring in, or everyone that wants to come here is all kind of on the same page. And instead of it's like, hey, what can the team do, or can you make this any better for me? It's kind of more of like, hey, I'm here. What can I do to help? And it goes a long ways. But yeah, I would say each one it tends to feel a little different, and it's a little better. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But so like, what, like, the MIHL is obviously like a development league, and it's just like, so like, what do you think's the best part of the mill, and just to see it continue to grow every single year?
Um, Honestly, it's a working man's league, right?
Yeah.
The funds aren't necessarily where I think some people want them to be. And honestly, I think everybody understands that. Like I said, we kind of show up, and everyone's there for a different reason, right? Some guys want to move
Yeah.
up right away, and that's awesome. And like I said, one of the reasons I'm there to help. I think I can help, and I think me and a few of the other guys have done a good job of kind of leading the team and kind of guys where they want to go. And during that process, that was kind of the end result, right? Nobody planned on, I don't think, winning, 3 in a row. And especially with each year getting harder and tougher and longer. But I think everyone is just kind of under the same impression, like, hey, family and work come first. This is kind of secondary, but I'll do everything I can. And we just have a group of guys that do that. And we have for 3 years, and then that's what happened. So.
Yeah, and like I think that's awesome, especially with the league growing and everything. Like it's growing every single year, and like new guys are coming in. Like the skill level continues to go up, especially from like last year to this year. Like just from like some of the signings, like you can tell it's going to be very competitive again, and it's gonna be even better than the year before, which is what you want in like a development league, like the Mill.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's good for everybody except for guys that are getting older like me. But no, yeah, you got the team up north, right? They just signed like 7 college kids. So I mean, we
Yeah,
don't even know what to expect, right? But we've made a few adjustments, and we've signed some guys. And I know the other teams are too. And I know they're working on it. But yeah, and that just makes it that much better, right? Like each
yeah,
game feels a little better. You win. You're not really handed anything. You kind of got to earn everything now, which is great. Right? That's why you play. You don't want it to be easy. So,
yeah.
but yeah, we kind of adapt and keep going and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all you can do. But like throughout like your career so far, like what are some tips and advice you'd give like players looking to get to that next level, whether it be high school to college, college juniors, college or college to pro, whatever it is.
Um, One, it'll be hockey, like playing hockey, like actually on the ice playing hockey is the easiest part of the whole thing, at least in my opinion. It really
Yeah.
was. All juniors, AAA, even at Davenport, playing hockey is the easiest part. It's all the outside stuff that just weighs on you. And I think once you can kind of get a grasp and a good handle on all of that stuff, um, I think it kind of right. You just concentrate on hockey more, and that's kind of what you're doing, right? And I used to have a coach that told me this, and my father said this too growing up, and I was just like, oh, I kind of always just said like, hey, yeah, you're my dad, you kind of have to say that. And same with the
Yeah.
coach, but he's always like, what's the most important rule? I know it sounds so cliche, but it's have fun. And I don't mean just on the ice. I mean with everything. Like this is it's quite the trip. It's quite the experience. The whole hockey world it's wild. But it really is, man. Once the fun goes away, I mean it goes away, and it's very hard to get it back. I was fortunate enough to find some fun in it again, and but I don't think that happens with everybody.
Yeah,
But no, go ahead.
that's a great tip and advice because like that why we're playing the sport because it's fun and we're having fun. Like if you're not having fun, like then like why are you playing?
Yeah, seriously. And it's like, I mean, you can kind of even dig it a little deeper too. Like when I first started playing, I wasn't like, oh, that looks really hard. I want to do that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks fun. I want to do that. Well, I mean, it's still fun. I'm just 20 years older, but
Yeah.
it's still fun. So, and I really do think, and I mean that. I know it sounds cliche, but I mean, it has to be fun. It has to be. You got to find fun in it somehow. Um,
And you play your best hockey when you're having fun as well.
Yeah, you really do. And I think right, yeah, and it goes farther too, right? Like I said, I'm there to help. Whether I play a lot or I'm getting points or I'm not, I'm just there to help. I don't need to, I'm not out there to try to impress anybody. But I just people can feed off of that too, right? You're having fun, you're having a good time, you're loose and you're enjoying yourself, you enjoy being there. I think that it goes a long ways too in helping guys.
Yeah, it really does. But I think this is that's a great place to end this episode. But Luke, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and can't wait to get it going in Muskegon this year.
No, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, thanks for having me. I was happy when you called. So anytime, man.